Shalom, shalom. First and foremost, I want to give all praise, all honor, and all glory to Yahweh, Bahashem, Yahweh Shai, Bahashem, Makakwadash. Double honors to the apostles, elders, and bishops of Great Millstone. Peace, blessings, and salutations to the hopeful elect. Once again, coming at you with another lesson. This is your brother Nawak. And I think I want to title this lesson, Even the Bees Are Dying. And I might change that title, but even the bees are dying. It's all over the news. If you've been watching, it's been all over the news that specifically this year for 2025, these bees out here, these honeybees have been dying at a record pace. We're talking about millions and millions of bees that have been dying. And it's been ramping up every year. And this year has been the worst so far. Now you might say, well, what that got to do with me? You know, how can the bees affect anything? Well, the bees and all the other insects that the Lord created to pollinate the fruits and vegetables, or to pollinate the flowers that leads to the fruits and vegetables and seeds and all of these different things and nuts. All of these things are very, very important. If the bees do not pollinate, or the insects that the Lord set out does not pollinate, that would wipe out a large portion of food in this world. You're talking about billions and billions of dollars worth of food is here right now because of these bees and these other insects like butterflies and other insects that fly, that transport pollen from one flower to the other. If you don't have that happening, it would be way less food in this world. This world will be very malnutritioned. See, this affects the whole food chain and the whole food supply. And so this is another reason why you should want the kingdom of heaven and why you should want this man taken down out of power. See, Esau, he's the wicked. He's ruling this world in wickedness. Therefore, everything is dying under his rulership. So don't be surprised with all of the things that are happening in the world, including what's happening to the insects, the birds. Everything is dying, let alone the people. Everything is suffering under this devil's rulership. That's why we know that he cannot continue on. We cannot continue on like this. This man has to be taken down. If he was to continue, as scriptures say, roughly paraphrasing, there will be no flesh to be saved. See? Because they don't give a damn what's the reason why these bees are dying. And they don't care about the fact that it would be less food. Because these devils, they all about reducing the population anyway. They ain't about people multiplying and seeing things flourish. See, the way that the Lord set it up from the beginning, the Lord set it, everything, including the bees and the birds, everything that was created for a reason. Everything is supposed to work in perfect order. But when you got this devil ruling and he got all of these different chemicals out here and pesticides and frequencies and all of these different things going on in the world, you wonder why these bees and these insects and these birds and all these different things on the earth is dying. Basically, everything is dying under this devil's rulership. But at any rate, I got some articles and I got some video clips I want to get into. And you're going to see the importance of how the Lord created these bees and how he created everything to work so that everything can flourish, everything can multiply. See, the Lord is all about multiplying. These devils is all about everything not multiplying. He's the opposite. He don't want more. He doesn't want more. The Lord always wanted everything to flourish and to multiply. See, that's the way the Lord works. But these devils is the total opposite. I got this picture pulled up here. It says, honeybee deaths are skyrocketing and our food supply is at risk. And that's one of the points. That's one of the points. But the main point is that the Lord needs to come back and take this devil down out of power. See, we need Yahushua to come back quick. See, because at the rate everything is going, it would be nothing left if the Lord didn't come back. Okay, if he didn't speed up the time and come back like he is coming back, these devils will have everything destroyed on this earth. This is the bottom line. Now I'm going to scroll through a couple pictures here. It says the U.S. is having a honeybee crisis. Colonies projected to decline by up to 70% in 2025. Now that's a lot. That's a lot. And like I said, you're going to see how important these bees are. You think these bees is just flying around doing this, I don't know, making honey, just basically here, just useless. Well, hey, that nothing could be further from the truth. Everything that the Lord created has a very specific reason he created it. He didn't waste nothing. Everything has importance. It says U.S. facing alarming honeybee crisis with projected 70% colony decline in 2025. It says something really bad is going on this year. And we know, hey, this could be the year. This literally could be the year that we get delivered up out of here. Everything is suffering. Everything is suffering right about now under this devil's rulership. It says the U.S. is having a honeybee crisis. Colonies projected to decline by 70%. I read that. It says, and then this is another thing. I'm going to get into some of this. I'm going to zoom this up because, like I said, people don't care that bees or anything is dying because they don't think it's going to affect them. It says pollinator services. It says approximately 4,000 species of wild bees in the United States contribute to agricultural pollination. It says the economic value of insect pollination totals over, see that, $34 billion. $34 billion. See? And you think they're just bees. It says as much as 35% of the world's food crops depend on pollinators to reproduce. You see how important these bees are and these other pollinating insects? You see how important it is? It wouldn't even, listen, it's already less food on the earth as it is. And with these bees dying, it's moving everything. It's reducing everything even faster and faster and faster. See, everything is dying faster and faster and faster. And you think that it won't affect you?
We now know with peer-reviewed study that bees are testing with 70 times more aluminum in their system than what it takes to cause Alzheimer's or dementia in a human being. It's a wonder any of them are alive. 70 times more. And this is important as well. When you have somebody from some agency who's paid to lie, who tells you it's normal to have aluminum everywhere because it's a very abundant element, that is a lie of inaccuracy. Aluminum is very abundant in the environment, yes, but it does not exist in the environment in free form. It doesn't exist in free form. It must be mined and refined and sprayed for it to be scattered everywhere in the environment, and that's exactly what's happening. It's not just the bees that are dying. Every single one of us is being contaminated. These materials are bioavailable. They're building up in our systems, and it doesn't matter whether you believe it or not. It doesn't matter. It's a fact. We have the lab test to prove it. There will be no hiding this issue much longer. And what does it appear? The chemical signature for what's showing up in rain tests matches coal fly ash, a substance that the EPA has told us is not harmful. They've been trying desperately to get rid of, and it seems to suit the purposes for geoengineering, and evidence is increasingly indicating that toxic coal fly ash may be one of the base materials they're using to spray because it gives them plausible deniability.
You see that? And that's the point. See, it's so much, these devils got so much aluminum in the air. As the guy said, it's affecting everything and everyone, including us. It's affecting you. It says bees are testing with 70 times more aluminum in their system than what it takes to cause Alzheimer's or dementia in a human being. Now that is a lot of aluminum. And you wondering why they're dying. You wondering why they're dying at such a rapid pace. They got all kinds of things attacking them, including us. Every breath you take, everything you eat, everything you drink, it's got some sort of contamination about it. Nothing we eating is as it's supposed to be. You see? Everything has got some kind of contamination in it. Everything is being poisoned. It's GMOs. Everything is totally backward from what the Lord created. You think we can continue living like this? When you see something like the smallest insect of bees dying, like in by the millions, that's a clear sign that we living under a wicked, wicked world and a wicked, wicked rulership. There's no way you will have bees or anything dying in the kingdom. Everything is going to be healthy. Everything is going to flourish in the kingdom of heaven because we're going to be ruling in righteousness. The fact that we living in this world today, death is all around you. It's all around us. Let me play this next video clip, and then I want to get
$1 million in dead honeybee colonies looks like. And this. Absolutely devastating. In the last 90 days, the United States has seen historic losses of honeybee colonies. Here we see, over the last 8 months, 1.12 million beehives, 68% of all the bees in the United States are dead. And then right below that, the 12-month total estimate is over 80% of all bees lost.
That is a lot. I got to rewind that back. You see that? It says 1.2 million beehives, 68% of all the bees in the United States over the past 8 months. This is just over the past 8 months are dead. You see? Let me continue.
All bees lost. Hopefully this works. The ABF and the AHPA teamed up to send a letter to the Secretary of Agriculture, which, wild fact in here, combined losses over the last 12 months, 70 to 100%. That is insane. But anyways, it's written to the Secretary of Agriculture, hopefully to shed light on the fact that this is literally historic losses and to demand some aid and relief and funding to bounce back from this. There's actually been a response to that letter that I just found. The USDA is experiencing government cuts, and so now the University of Cornell is getting involved, and here's one of their first responses. Based on early numbers that are coming in, it's suggestive that this will be the biggest loss of honeybee colonies in U.S. history. Catastrophic losses. So Cornell's hopping in to help with the research side and studies and see what happened. I think we're still leaning towards the side of overexposure to pesticide and neonicotinoid on monoculture pollination. And then maybe overexposure to harsh chemicals with mite treatments. I think the end-all be-all goal is to move towards treatment-free beekeeping, but that has to entirely do with genetics, and we're so far from that's not even a topic of conversation right now, I don't think. But moving towards organic compounds for mite treatments, I think, is a step in the right direction, but lots to work on here.
Listen. They speculating everything that's killing these bees. But some of the stuff he's saying is contributing to it. So you got pesticides out here. The air is being sprayed. You got aluminum everywhere. Aluminum, pesticides, chemicals. All these things are contributing. And then these frequencies. Let me get something on that. These frequencies is also affecting these bees. And everybody, including us. Let me get this. It says, one second. All right, here we go. It says the study found that the absorption into insects, the outer shells, the cuticles skyrocketed with frequency. For example, the ladybug cuticle absorbed 119 more RF radiation at 100 gigahertz versus 2.5 gigahertz. bees or insects or bugs weren't built to be antennas, but what happens when the buzzing stops? So these insects, including us, we absorbing all kinds of frequencies. See, and it ain't good. It's not healthy. 12G, Starlink satellite broadcasting, 25G high band, 60G high frequencies. All of these things is affecting everybody and everything on this earth. We all are suffering, whether you realize it or not. We're all being affected by it. Let me get this article here real quick. It's from CBS News. It says millions of bees have died this year. It says it's the worst bee loss recorded in history, one beekeeper says. And I'm just going to read a little bit of it. It says the U.S. beekeeping industry is in crisis over the shocking and unexplained deaths of hundreds of millions of bees over the last 8 months. It says it's an unfolding disaster for the industry. Blake Shook, one of the nation's top beekeepers, has found tens of thousands of dead insects in his businesses. He said he's never seen losses like this. It says the data is showing us that to be the worst bee loss recorded in history. And you know you living in a wicked world now. You know you living in a wicked world. Because, hey, when we're in rulership, we're going to rule in righteousness. And everything is going to flourish. Everything is going to be good. You will not have anything dying like bees and insects and birds and animals and people for that matter. It says the data showing us to be the worst bee loss in recorded history, Shook told CBS Saturday morning. It says researchers are struggling to understand what's causing it. These devils know. They know what's causing it. They know what's causing it. It's always we got to research and we got to find out what's going on. No, they already know. It says bees play a critical role in the U.S. food production. You see that? Critical. It says, in addition to making honey, they pollinate 75%. See if I can clear this out of the way. 75% of the fruits, nuts, and vegetables grown in the United States. You see how much food that is? It says that's $15 billion. See? $15 billion worth of crops. Shook said, and the current losses are unsustainable. So as these bees is dying, it's going to be less food. Way less food than it is right now. And you think that's not going to affect nothing? Everything is supposed to work together. So the fact that these bees is dying, you can see clearly how this can affect everything, everybody on this earth. It says if this was a multi-year thing, it'll change the way we consume food in the United States, Shook said. If we lose 80% of our bees every year, the industry cannot survive, which means we cannot pollinate at the scale that we need to produce food in the United States. It says one example is almonds with honeybees pollinating them. Almond trees produce 2,000 to 3,000 pounds of almonds per acre, Shook said. But it says without that pollination, almond trees produce only 200 pounds of nuts per acre. That's a big difference. Big difference. It says there is no almond crop without honeybees, Shook said. You see how important everything that the Lord created is, specifically these bees? It says one of Shook's businesses focuses on rebuilding their hives. He's been receiving an alarming number of those hives, he said, from commercial operations across the country. Beekeeping groups say 25% of those commercial operations may be put out of business by this year's end because of the losses. It says, I got a call from a friend who had 20,000 beehives at the start of winter. Now he has less than 1,000. That's a lot of dead bees. See that? It says, this is it. I am done. I have had far too many of those calls in the last few weeks, Shook said. it's not just a beekeeper issue. It is a national food security issue. You see that? It is a national food security issue. So make no mistake about it. They ain't just bees, and the Lord didn't just create them for no reason. See, the Lord knows exactly what he was doing when he created everything. And the Elohim, who was with Yahushua in the beginning, they was working to get everything created on this earth. And you wonder why these heathens, specifically these Edomites, they don't give a damn about creation the way that the Lord's people do. See? We are the Lord's chosen people, and the Lord created everything for our benefit. He created this earth to work in peace, in order. Everything's supposed to be working smooth. These bees is all a part of the system. It says this is out of irescuebees.com. It says, how much do bees depend on our food chain? See that? It says the decline of pollinator insect populations, including bees, wasps, butterflies, pose a threat to ecosystems, and says in global food security, 3/4 of the crops depend on the pollinators to some extent. It says, but only 1/3 of the global crop production does. This is because many of our largest producing species are not pollinators themselves. Pollinators affect 35% of the global agricultural production and are critical or crucial for approximately 30 to 35 of the global food crops. It says bees are responsible for a significant chunk of the world's food supply and nutrition, with their economic and ecological contributions being significant. According to the United Nations Environment Programming, 71 out of 100% of crop varieties that provide 90% of the world's food are pollinated by bees. That's a lot. It says in the United States, honeybees alone pollinate nearly 75 kinds of fruits, such as almonds, avocados, cranberries, and apples, in addition to commodity crops like soy. So, like I said, it's been made plain. These bees and these different insects that the Lord created to pollinate is very, very important to having food on this earth, basically. And it said this is going to affect a lot of people. How much how much our food supply do bees pollinate? It says, and this is it on this. I'm gonna move on to the next thing. It says, what would happen to the food chain without bees? It says a world without bees would drastically impact the food supply, the global food supply, threatening the survival of 7 billion human population. See that? It says bees are vital pollinators responsible for pollinating 70 to 100% of crop species that feed 90% of the world. Their sudden extinction would result in a significant decrease in the availability of fruits and vegetables, possibly half in what we have in the supermarkets. Many plants that rely on bee pollination would perish and disrupting natural food chains and ecosystems. So you see, if the world didn't have no bees in it, on pollinators, it would affect over 7 billion people. It would affect over 7 billion people. And I believe I got this pulled up. It's about, they're estimating on the worldometer, about 8.2 billion people are on the earth. So, hey, no pollinators, no bees, it'll affect damn near everybody on this earth. Everybody will be affected by that. It'll be way less food. And we talking, like I said, billions and billions of dollars of food because of these bees and these other insects. And this I got pulled up. You see, basically, Esau's ruling. When you look at pictures like this, you see all these dead bees, you know who's ruling. And then we got to get up out of here. We can't continue on living under this devil's rulership. See, we got to get out of here. Now from there, I think I pulled up real quick, and then I want to get into some scriptures because people, you might not understand. Well, I don't see how bees pollinating. I don't know how it works. So basically, this is the way the Lord set it up. It says pollen from the flowers, anthers from the male part of the plant, rubs or drops on the pollinator, which is the insects like the bees, and the pollinator then takes this pollen to another flower where the pollen sticks to the stigma, the female part. So if the bees and the insects and the different flying insects, butterflies, if they're not going from flower to flower, and it says the fertilized flower later yields fruit and seeds, the food, we would stop getting a lot of food. It would be a lot of less food because nothing would be getting pollinated, then nothing could be reproducing. You got to have the pollinators coming from the male flower over to the female flower, taking the pollen over there to the female. And that has to happen over and over and over and over. And if that stops happening, then there's no food, period. Whatever those insects was pollinating will stop, period. Now you see how important that the Lord has created everything to work in order. And now you see how, if we continue on here, everything will be dead on this earth. Nothing will survive. Now let's get this in Mark, because some people, some of these people out here, they talking about how, what's the importance of the bees and the honey? We don't need no honey. Honey ain't good for us. Honey is bad for us. Well, the apostle, I'm going to get this in the scriptures here. The apostle or John the Baptist, he was eating honey. So that tells you right there, this is the book of Mark, that it's good for you. This is the book of Mark, chapter 1 and verse 5. I'm going to read this real quick. This is the book of Mark, chapter 1 and verse 5. It says, and there went out unto him all the land of Judea, and they of Jerusalem, and were baptized of him in the river of Jordan, confessing their sins, talking about John the Baptist. Verse 6, and here's the point. It says, and John was clothed with camel's hair, and with a girdle of skin about his loins, and he did eat. See that? He did eat locusts and wild honey. So for people out there talking about, hey, you ain't supposed to be eating it, it ain't good for you. Well, it's all throughout the scriptures. As a matter of fact, it's before I continue on, I want to get this in the book of Ecclesiasticus, I believe in chapter 39, it talks about how it's one of the principal things. 39, I'm just going to pull it up, the whole chapter. I'll just scroll down and get to it. Right here. This is the book of Ecclesiasticus or Sirach, chapter 39, in verse 26. It says, the principal things for the whole use of man's life are water, fire, iron, and salt, flour of wheat, honey. See, that's the point. Honey, milk, and the blood of grape, and oil, and clothing. So, literally, if you got all these things right here, you living good. You set. You got all these things. Listen, because these are the principal things. And that includes honey. It says, and all these are good for the godly, so to the sinners they are turned into evil. So these are good. All of these principal things are good for us. So, hey, don't let nobody tell you that honey ain't good and you should be eating it, because that's madness. See? Our people ate honey. Now from there, let's get into this. This is the book of Proverbs, chapter 2, and verse 4. Let's get on these devils because, hey, it's because of their, actually, no, I pulled that up wrong. Proverbs, chapter 29, this is what I wanted, in verse 2. It says, when the righteous are in authority, the people rejoice. But when the wicked bear rule, the people mourn. Everybody right about now is mourning under this devil's rulership. Everybody, everything, all the animals, the insects, the people, everything. Everybody is because this devil is ruling. That's why everything is mourning, everything is dying, everything is sick, everything is just jacked up under this devil because he ruling this world in wickedness. As a matter of fact, let's get this in Habakkuk chapter 2. Habakkuk chapter 2 and verse 4. Habakkuk chapter 2 and verse 4. It says, behold, his soul, which is lifted up, is not upright in him, but the just shall live by his faith. These devils, the Lord didn't put an upright spirit in them. That's why they doing all these things. That's why everywhere they go is death, destruction, chaos, lies, deceit, treachery. That's because they're the wicked. Verse 5, it says, yea, also, because he transgresseth by wine, he is a proud man. These devils are proud. It says, neither he keepeth at home. He don't want to stay at home. He everywhere and everybody's business all over the earth. It says, who enlarges his desire as hell, and it says, and is as death. You see that? It's no wonder everything's dying. You got birds crashing into buildings. You got cattle just dying all of a sudden, all over the earth. Insects are dropping dead all over the whole world. Everything is dying. It says, and cannot be satisfied. That's the point. He cannot be satisfied. See? You know how if you're growing something and you need to leave something behind, some seeds or something, so they can reproduce, this devil will take it all. He won't leave nothing left. And see, you wonder why ain't no more, because he took it all. He cannot be satisfied. It says, but gather unto him all nations and heapeth unto him all people. So that's the way these devils are made. They are made to be wicked. So don't expect anything else. Jake out here, he wants this devil to continue on. He want to continue living in this devil's rulership, in his kingdom. See, you don't understand. Sooner or later, you're going to be through out here. You're not going to make it. See, that's why the Lord is coming back, and he's going to, hey, these devils, they cannot continue on. That's why the Lord gave them a short period of time to rule. See? Now let's get this. This is the book of Mark, because I brought this up earlier, chapter 13 and verse 19. This is the book of Mark, chapter 13 and verse 19. It says, For in those days shall be affliction, talking about the times we're about to enter into. Hey, we're coming into a very, very tough time. The time of Jacob's trouble is coming. It says, such as was not from the beginning of the creation, which the Most High created unto this time, neither shall be. Verse 20, it says, and except that the Lord had shortened those days, which he has, and he's continuing to shorten these days, no flesh should be saved. See, the Lord is shortening the days because, but for the elect's sake, whom he hath chosen, he hath shortened the days. So the Lord has shortened the days for the elect. We thank the Lord Yahweh Bashem Yahushai, and we're hopeful that we are of that elect to be delivered up out of here. Because, hey, we know everything is going to be dead or dying. If you do not get delivered up out of here, you will be destroyed under that thermonuclear destruction during World War III. And the lasers coming off them chariots when people ignorantly call UFOs. And the Lord, he's going to be shooting out concentrated laser beams of fire. So it's going to be a lot of fire on this earth when Yahweh Shai comes back. It's going to be a lot of fire. And Babylon the Great, a.k.a. America, is going to be completely consumed, completely burnt up. And if the Lord didn't shorten the days, we wouldn't even get to the point to where the Lord is going to deliver us. Because that's how much death is going on right now, and it's continuing to ramp up. And it's finna get a whole lot worse. See, we ain't seen nothing yet. It's finna get a whole lot worse. Now from there, let's get this. This is the book of Isaiah, chapter 24, and verse 4. Isaiah chapter 24 and verse 4. It says, the earth mourneth and fadeth away. The world languisheth and fadeth away. The haughty people of the earth do languish. It says the earth also is defiled under the inhabitants thereof. And that's these devils. It's defiled under their rulership. Because, hey, the scriptures say he's not upright. He is not created to be upright. Everything they do is concerning deceit, robbery, destroying things. That's how this devil is built. Taking everything, greed. The earth is defiled under the inhabitants thereof, because they have transgressed the laws, changed the ordinance, and broke the everlasting covenant. See, the Lord has the law, statutes, and commandments set up, and they're perfect. And this devil do everything opposite. That's why everything is dying. That's why not even the farms or the crops is yielding or producing like they're supposed to, because you're supposed to have a land Sabbath. The land is supposed to rest a year. These devils, they farm that land to death over and over and over, because they're not thinking about the Lord Yahweh Bashem Yahushai or the law, statutes, and commandments. That's why this place is defiled. You got an unfit ruler. See? And soon enough, the Lord is going to take him out of power, and he's going to set us up in the kingdom, whereas the earth is going to be ruled in righteousness. And we thank the Lord Yahweh Bashem Yahushai. He don't have much longer. This is the book of Job, chapter 14 and verse 5. This is the book of Job, chapter 14 and verse 5. It says, seeing his days are determined, the number of his months are with thee. Thou hast appointed his bounds that he cannot pass. See, the Lord has numbered his days. See, every kingdom has had a set time to come into power and a set time to come down out of power. And this devil and his kingdom is no different. He was given a short period of time to rule, and he's at the end of that rulership. And the Lord has he has his number. See, they will not go 1 day, 1 second past the time that the Lord set up for them to be in rulership. And we thank the Lord Yahweh Bashem Yahushai, that he's coming, he's going to deliver us, and he's going to destroy this wicked kingdom, and he's going to set us up in the kingdom of heaven. Now let's close out here in the book of Daniel, because this is where everything is going to flourish in the kingdom. Everything is not going to live. Nothing's going to live under this devil's rulership. I read the scripture. No flesh would be left. Everything would be dead if the Lord didn't shorten the days. This is the book of Daniel, chapter 27 and 20. This is the book of Daniel, chapter 7 and verse 27. It says, the kingdom and dominion and greatness under the kingdom of the whole heaven shall be given to the people of the saints. And the saints, pursuant to Psalms 149, the saints are the Israelites. See? So it shall be given to the people of the saints of the Most High. Talking about the Israelites, whose kingdom is an everlasting kingdom. So we getting ready to receive an everlasting kingdom. And like I said, everything is dying under this devil's rulership. The bees, the insects, the everything, the plants, the flowers, everything is dying. Everything is dying because this devil is ruling. He's greedy. He just wants to take till there's nothing left. He can never get enough. Animals dying, let alone the people. And hey, you ain't seen nothing yet, because a lot of judgment is getting ready to go. The judgment is getting ready to go up higher. There's going to be a lot more people getting deleted or taken out in these last days. So, hey, this is just more and more signs that we at the end of his rulership. It says, whose kingdom is an everlasting kingdom. All dominions shall serve and obey him. So the Lord is going to have all these heathens under us. That's the way that it was set up from the beginning. Well, we transgressed the laws. We kept breaking the laws, statutes, and commandments. So, hey, we had to receive the curses pursuant to the book of Deuteronomy chapter 28. We had to receive the curses. Hey, we at the end of this thing now. We at the end, and we getting ready to be put into the kingdom. We getting ready to be delivered. Lord willing, we're of that number to be delivered, and then we're going to be translated into the kingdom. See, where everything is going to flourish. You're not going to have no dead bees and dead insects and dead things all laying all around like you do in this world. Everything is dying, whether it's in the sea with different whales and dolphins beaching themselves all over the earth. All kinds of creatures coming up from the depths, washing up in the sand, dead. See, this is just more and more signs of who's ruling. These the wicked Edomites, and that he's at the end, and that we cannot continue on like this. We can't continue like this. Nothing will live, nothing will thrive under these devils' rulership. So we thank the Lord, Yahweh Shem Yahweh Shai. This man is at the end of his rulership. He's getting ready to come back to deliver us and set us up in the kingdom of heaven. And with that, I hope that you were edified by this lesson. This has been Even the Bees Are Dying. I want to give all praise, all honor, and all glory to Yahweh Bahashem, Yahweh Shai Bahashem Makakwadash. Double honors to the apostles, elders, and bishops of Great Millstone. Peace, blessings, and salutations to the hopeful elect. Shalom.